ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति The topic Evidence of Unknown. Chapter 1 Probe into God. The topic Evidence of Unknown.
Evidence of unknown. Religions and their philosophies explore the ideal, the ultimate reality, God. Before attempting a thorough investigation of the supreme reality, God, it would be prudent to establish a reasonable assurance of the existence of that which is being explored. On a preliminary study of the mysterious origin of the world, there appears sufficient evidence of something beyond the perceivable and conceivable world. Both the macrocosm and microcosm provide the material to justify a probe into the Supreme Being. Macrocosm. At the macrocosmic level, there is adequate evidence of something supernatural which baffles the human intellect. One notices an extraordinary phenomenon in the planets holding their position and function, visualizes the splash of divinity everywhere, meticulously orchestrating the play and rhythm in the cosmos. Everything seems to be knit together immaculately. Creation, maintenance, and destruction roll on and on for the very existence of the universe. The splash of divinity is tantalizing, yet the common man sees it not. To cite a few that evidence the presence of divinity, the sun gives vitality. The clouds provide water. The earth yields vegetation. The atmosphere supplies oxygen. The list is endless. Everything functions impeccably as though there is a controller, ordainer, governing them all. Again, it is interesting to examine the proportion of the carnivore, herbivore, and herbage. Just imagine if the carnivores were as many as the herbivores, and herbivores as few as the carnivores, their lives would be extinct. So, too, the supply of herbs for the herbivore is huge. Otherwise, the herbivore would have no place in the world. Another fascinating revelation in human life is the proportion of economists, scientists, mathematicians, and philosophers. In any university in the world, the economics students are in large numbers, whereas the science students are less, mathematics students far less, and philosophers hardly a few. The grosser the subject, the larger the numbers. The subtler subjects attract less. This spells the actual proportion regardless of the nationality of the students and the location of the universities. Be they Indians or Americans, Chinese or Japanese, the proportion remains the same. Who ordains all this? Who controls them? Governs this ratio? One sees the play of divinity in this immaculate disposition. Thus, the universe seems a phenomenal display of infinite expressions of an unknown hand. That unknown, unseen controller should provide a scientific inquirer with sufficient assurance to probe, investigate, and find out what could that be. Besides all these amazing perplexities in the universe, there is yet another facet which displays the innumerable laws of nature. They range from macrocosmic to microcosmic levels. Infallible laws based on the principle of cause and effect. Again, one sees them all bowing in obeisance to some mysterious governor which should provoke inquiry and investigation.
Yeah.
Microcosm. Likewise, one notices a similar phenomenon at the microcosmic.
Yeah. The topic is the evidence of the unknown. We have seen God is X. Now, even to start a probe, you need some reasoning to start the probe. Otherwise, the probe has no meaning. Something you are able to grasp, see vaguely, and you want to exactly know what it is, then the probe starts. You cannot start a probe with imagination. You cannot start a probe about your imaginations or hallucination. You start a probe only when there is only when you understand that something is there. Only when you understand that only when you understand something is there. What is that something? That something is called God, and there are evidences, he says. And these evidences gives a inspiration, a direction, a motivation to the probe. And the evidence of the unknown is in two. One is in relation to macrocosm, another in relation to microcosm. The evidence of the unknown we talk about in terms of macrocosm. Again, we talk about it in terms of microcosm. First, we have discussing macrocosm. Why we take macrocosm is because it is easy to visualize from the external and then come to the internal. It is easy to conceive of it when something is in a magnitude, when something is in a huge, large scale. It is easy to visualize that, conceive that, and then you can probe, and then you can go subtler and subtler and subtler. So therefore, it is started with macrocosm, because macrocosm is something that can be visualized, that can be more easily comprehended than the internal, than the microcosm. Not that you cannot comprehend the microcosm, but that needs a little bit of subtlety. So to start with, you don't start with the difficult, you start with that which is easily perceivable. What is it that is easily perceivable? The macrocosm. A probe means X. Something is there. Something is there. Wanting to find out what it is exactly is known as a probe. If you know that already, there is no probe after that. You say this is what God is. After that, what are you probing? You know it already. That is why Very few people probe into God. Either one sect says there is God straight away, another sect straight away says there is no God. So either way, the conclusions have come. Once you have concluded, what will you do? This is the fallacy of human thinking itself. Conclusions will be made first and arguments will be given to support the conclusion. Most of the times, the fallacy of human thinking is you make conclusions first and then arguments will be provided to support that conclusion. Or you will selectively choose that which supports your conclusion. Either you will give up from, either you will come up with arguments. The other possibility is you may not come up with arguments, but you will selectively choose. Whatever is there, from that you selectively choose. That's why when a person speaks 10 sentences, you will pick one word that suits your. You will pick that one word or one sentence that suits you. And say, why did you say this? Ray, I said 10 sentences. Forget about the 10 sentences. Why? Forget about that 9. Why did you say this? Because that one is that which is in line with your conclusion. When I say in line with your conclusion means either for it or against it, but definitely you have a conclusion. Are you able to follow? So you will find out something which is for it or against it, but definitely what has happened, conclusion has happened. Here we are saying probe. Probe means it's not probing, doesn't mean you simply sit in a vacant air and probe. You can't do that. You can't simply keep looking at the pigeons, sunrise, sunset. You can't probe like that. Probe means there is something that has instigated the probe. There is something that made you to. There is something that drove you into this probe. What is it that should drive you into this probe? The macrocosm and microcosm. Then the probe is reasonable. Then the probe makes sense. It is scientific. Are you able to follow? Something instigated. What is it that has instigated? Something from the macrocosm, something from the microcosm. Why this probe started? Because when you observe the macrocosm and when you observe the microcosm, which we will come to later, the human intellect gets an ascharya, wonderment. And that wonderment instigates the probe. You don't go to God because you don't probe about God as a thing or a person to solve your problems. Legal problem, go to a lawyer. Income tax problem, go to a IT commissioner, a chartered accountant. I don't know. Rendu pertiyum ponum sir. Take the chartered accountant and go to the IT commissioner. If you have a IT problem, if you have a medical problem, go to the doctor. Similarly, for some problems, you go to God. Why are you unnecessarily complicating about probe, this, that, and that? It is maybe you don't know about God, you have to probe, but we are very clear about God. The problem in sir, God is not the problem for us, sir. Life is the problem. The agitations in life is the problem. Adukku solution kudungonna, why are you talking about God? For God is not a. For whom God is a problem? For nobody. Or God becomes a problem to those Who thought God will come and support, and when God didn't come? Again, God doesn't become a problem there. You develop dvesha for God. Avladhan. Always remember this. Once you develop a raga for something, very soon you are going to develop a dvesha for it. It's the law. You have a raga for something, very soon it will develop into a dvesha. Very soon means it's a question of time, that's all. Maybe 1 year, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 30 years. Definitely the raga will turn into a dvesha. God is not in relation to raga dvesha, it's about a probe. It's about a probe. And probe has some backing. Probe has some backing. What is the backing? When you observe the macrocosm and the microcosm, and very difficult to observe because the preoccupied mind with raga dvesha cannot observe anything. The mind that is preoccupied with raga dvesha will not be able to observe. You show a beautiful sunset and say, wow, what a beautiful sunrise, what a beautiful sunset. The preoccupied person will look at it so blank. He will look at it so blank and will say, yeah, very beautiful, very beautiful. But then the very person saying that it is beautiful, that person is not even looking at it. Why? The observation requires certain amount of freedom from ragadvesha. All that is implied. We discuss about thesis on God. Why? Because we have certain freedom from ragadvesha is the implication here. Another thesis on God book எடுத்துக்கிறோம். Why we took this book to study? Because to some extent you have to be free from raga dvesha to observe. For a person who is preoccupied with raga dvesha cannot observe. What will they be observing? A person preoccupied with raga dvesha, a person obsessed with raga dvesha, what he will be observing? A person walks through a beautiful rose garden, stands and say, what a wonderful business opportunity. He sees the roses. And what does he think? What a wonderful business opportunity. He can cut the roses. He can find out how to export it, where to get the export-import license. Yeah. And they will call me also. உங்களுக்கு யாராவது தெரிஞ்சவங்க இருக்கிறாங்களா சார்? Will you know? And then I will say, go to SRL Shankar. And அவர் தான் expert இதிலெல்லாம். I don't know what all he's not an expert. Huh? His latest expertise is COVID-19. Yeah, that is his latest expertise. Go and learn from him. Another person walks through the rose garden. What that person will see? Wow, we can make a garland and offer it to Lord. Another person walks through the rose garden, sees what? The girlfriend. Pluck the rose, make a bouquet, and that's it. All of them have missed one thing. What? What did they miss? All of them have missed one thing. What? The rose. All of them have missed observing the rose. The rose is missed. Evidence of unknown is the capacity to see the rose first. Evidence of the unknown comes when you can see the rose. Everyone follow? Though it is not said in this paragraph, though it is not said in this portion, I am bringing it in so that the connection becomes, so that we can understand the connection. That's why I'm bringing that. To observe, you need to be free from ragadvesha. If you are preoccupied with ragadvesha, wherever you go, whatever you see, you will see it according to your likes and dislikes. Hmm? And what is likes and dislikes? You do something, you found some happiness, and that happiness has diminished. To get the happiness, you have to go back and do the same thing again. As the raga. What is raga? Are you able to follow? You do something, gain some happiness, and that happiness is lost. And you want that happiness now. What do? Go back to the same thing again and again and again. You do something, it was very painful. What do? You do something, it's very painful. What do? அதுகிட்ட மட்டும் போகக்கூடாது சார். This life occupied or preoccupied with raga dvesha cannot observe. To evidence of the unknown comes when you can observe impartially. What is impartially? Not affected by your likes and dislikes. So when you can keep it aside and look at it, what do you see? You see the evidence. You see the divinity splashed everywhere. And that in the divinity splashed everywhere gives you a sense of ascharya, wonderment. And that wonderment gives you a sense of ascharya, wonderment, and that wonderment leads to a probe. And that wonderment leads to the probe. For you want to know what that you want to know exactly what it is. So are you able to see the sequence? Evidence of the unknown is splashed everywhere. If it is splashed everywhere, why don't a person see it? Because that person is preoccupied with likes and dislikes. What is preoccupation with likes and dislikes means? What all gave me happiness in the past, keep doing it again and again and again so that I can get the happiness back. I did something, I got happy. I'm repeating myself again so that you understand. This is called Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Again birth, again death. Birth of happiness, death of happiness, do the same thing. Birth of happiness, death of happiness, do the same thing. In one Janma, from Janma to Janma. Now, even if you don't understand from Janma to Janma, you can understand this in this Janma. A person who is able to keep that aside temporarily and observe the macrocosm, there is enough evidence of the divinity. He doesn't know what it is. He has no clue to what it is. That's why he is probing. He has no clue to what it is. He has no understanding of what it is, but it is splashed everywhere. You can see it. And that seeing and that seeking God is not out of a frustration, and that seeking God is not one of out of seeking some problems, some solution to the problems, but one of understanding. So where does thesis on God probe starts? Technically, I'm explaining now. The thesis on God probe starts at the 4th stage of the intellect. We have seen the intellect develops in 4 stages. I'm connecting everything so that you get the sequence rightly. நீங்களா கனெக்ட் பண்ண ட்ரை பண்ண. You don't connect by yourself. If you start connecting by yourself, you will disconnect only. So we have seen the intellect grows in 4 stages. Age of perception, age of superstition, age of scientific inquiry, and the age of contemplation. This is on God starts at the age of That inquiry starts at the age of contemplation. Methodology may be scientific. Methodology is scientific. For in fact, wherever there is a method, it is science. Please understand that. Wherever there is a method, it is called science. The rasam or the sambar which my mother makes is science. Because there is a method, there is a sequence. So everything in life has the basis of a methodology. Wherever there is a methodology involved, it is called. Are you able to understand that? So science, it's not only going and studying science subjects or becoming a scientist. Not that. Wherever there is an order, wherever there is a method, there is science. Where does contemplation come in? That order is so inspiring. That order is so inspiring. That order makes you wonderstruck. And you probe, what is that? And you probe, what is that? The book seems to be easier than your explanation, sir. Yeah. Book is easier. நீங்க சொல்றதுதான் ஒண்ணுமே. What you are saying is only is not understand. Right away, book is evidence of the unknown. Why I am giving such a elaborate preamble is because unknown சொல்லிட்டு அப்புறம் evidence. Look at the words. Evidence of unknown. The moment there is an evidence, it becomes known. And yet, what is the evidence of unknown? This is it. You come to the level of wonderment and you see and you observe the macrocosm. The macrocosm provides enough material to justify the probe. Macrocosm provides enough material to justify the probe. The microcosm, observe the microcosm, it gives enough material to justify the probe. With this preamble, we will go into the macrocosm, what we have studied. With this preamble, we'll go into the study of what macrocosm. If you observe it impartially, what will you observe in macrocosm? If you don't observe it impartially, what will you observe? I'll explain that first. If you are not impartial, what will you observe in macrocosm? Misery, corruption, right and wrong, good and bad, irritation, frustration. If you are not impartial, what will you observe in microcosm? Are you able to follow? People are all bad. So much of corruption in this world, sir. There is no goodness at all. About this world. You have to be very careful about this world because people are out. Everything is out all the time only to cheat you, exploit you. This will be your observation about the macrocosm when you are partial. If you are impartial, what will you observe is what this paragraph is going to talk about. I am giving you both. When you are partial, what will you observe? You will not observe all this. What will you observe? What will you observe? That which suits your raga dvesha, you will observe. Instead of observing it per se, what will you observe? You will observe this. And this observation leads to worry, anxiety, frustration, depression. And then what will happen? You will shift. Some gave you happiness. Repeatedly you go there. After a while it stops giving happiness. What will you do? What will you do? What will you do? Huh? Go to the next. இல்லையா? அதே தான் இங்கேயும் நடக்கும். You come for these classes, after a while you will get bored and then go to the next. It will happen everywhere. You go to one temple, after a while that temple gets ஒரே டெம்பிள்கே போயிருந்தா முடியாது சார். அந்த 108 திவ்ய தேசம் I have to go. But then this 108 divya desam is only in one state. But what about Dwaraka? What about Puri? All that is finished. Sir, the best temple I heard is in Angkor Wat. அது எங்க இருக்குது? The best temple is in Angkor Wat. I should go there, no sir. I said, என்னையும் கூட்டின்னு போகும்போது I will say, yeah, take me also. I will also come, because if you take me, I don't have to worry about buying my ticket, my food and all. No. Yeah, so I will say, take me also with you. When you are working on Raga Dvesha, this is how you live life. Working on Raga Dvesha, this is how you live life. Therefore, your observation about the macrocosm will be very limited and not seeing the divinity. Huh? Please understand. Recognizing the divinity is not an emotional excitement. You don't feel the high and all there. It's not that it's not that your body will start trembling and tears will flow. Yeah. அது மூவி பார்த்தாலே வரும். Yeah, you watch a movie, you will get all that. You follow? People think all this is tears flowing. When tears flow, when somebody hurts you, tears flows when you watch a movie, and tears flow when you see God. What is the tear flowing? Are you able to follow? A wonderment. Wonderment implies, when does the intellect gets into wonderment? Intellect gets into wonderment when it sees something beyond its capacity to conceive. அப்பதான் wonderment வரும். Wonderment will come only when it sees something beyond its capacity to conceive. When it sees something beyond its capacity to conceive, it will get ascharya, wonderment. Wonderment comes when you recognize in front of that grand thing, you recognize your insignificance, wonderment comes. That's why any great, huge thing temporarily gives a relief. In front of that, straight away you will be relieved. Have you ever observed that? In front of the ocean, if you are not living in front of the ocean all the time, if you have a seafront house, and after that you will be thinking, maybe I should go into some desert. You stand in front of the ocean. In that vastness, you recognize your insignificance. And that insignificance brings about a perception. That perception is divinity, evidence of unknown. That perception is evidence of unknown. Why I'm not reading so much about the topic is because a few examples is given in this topic, that's all. We can finish it off in 10 minutes. But it's not the examples here. In and through these examples, what is being conveyed is the elaboration. What is the examples that is given? Planets holding themselves. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine we are all suspended in mid-air. Yeah, we are all suspended in mid-air and floating. 8th floor, 10th floor, looks like it's solid. No, it's not solid. It's just floating in in mid-air, one holding the other. Some invisible force, one holding the other. Sir, that is gravity, sir. You don't know science, sir. That is gravity, sir. இதுக்கெல்லாம் இதுக்கு divinity வரணும். Some great power must have devised it. It can't come out of nothing. It cannot be, yeah? It cannot be so orderly. Second example that he is giving is creation, maintenance, destruction. Creation, maintenance, destruction. Continuously. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Only creation, no destruction. Problem will start. Yeah, only destruction and no creation. Very soon it will become a desert. So the balance is maintained. The balance is maintained so well. And all medications you find and you think you have conquered something, the COVID-19 will come. Yeah. COVID-19 will come. Okay, you do something and be free from COVID-19, and then some 25 will come. And then some 35 will come. By the time we will be dead. By the time we will be dead and gone. The cycle of creation, maintenance, destruction is so wonderful. The proportion means order. Look at the proportion of carnivore, herbivore, and herbage. Vegetation. Look at the proportion. Proportion means order. If it is changed, it will be chaos. And it's not a chaos. The human mind, everything, only the human mind is in chaos. The rest and all is not in rest and all is, there is a beautiful order. That's what he is saying. One tiger, 100 deers, tons and tons of herbage. The proportion is maintained. Imagine the rivers, everything would have become extinct by now. 100 tigers and 10 deers, what would have happened? Breakfast late, 10 deers would have been gotten over and breakfast, and the tigers also would have starved to death. So the tigers would have become extinct, the deers also would have become extinct. Another fascinating revelation. Examples he is giving. Another fascinating revelation. The proportion of economists, scientists, mathematicians, and philosophers. Again the proportion. Again the proportion. In the modern day thing, they call it as a pyramid, no? The modern day they call it as a pyramid. It's an order. Pyramid means they don't use the word proportion divinity, but definitely they see, they call it as a pyramid. What does that mean? There is an order. Who ordains all this? Who controls this? Governs this ratio? One person will come and say, it is self-balancing. There is no need for God. Another person will come and say, it is God. And both don't know what they are saying. One person says, sir, there is no need for God and all. Who controls them? Who governs this ratio? One sect will come and say, there is no need for God. For it is called nature. It is self-sustaining. Why are you unnecessarily wasting time. அடுத்த டாபிக் முடிச்சிட்டு we will go to yeah. வெங்கட் வேற சட்டில் இண்டிகேட்டர் கொடுக்குறாரு. அடுத்த டாபிக்கும் கண்டினியூ பண்ணி. Who controls them? Who ordains all this? Who's the controller? Who's the ordainer? Who makes sure that this is how it has to be? Ascharya. There is something beyond human. There is something beyond this comprehension. Is there a way to know what it is? Is there a way to explore that? Is there a way to explore that? Is there a way to know what it is? Is what happens when it comes to macrocosm. Seeing divine means recognizing the law. Remember this. Recognizing, appreciating the law is what is called seeing the divine. Seeing the divine doesn't mean seeing a form, or that form is a representation of the law. The form is not wrong, which is what we have seen already. In the previous topic itself, we have seen. Are you able to follow? So, what you see, recognition of divine means recognizing the law. You can call it singular or you can call it plural. The law, the laws. So, what is divine? The law. Recognizing the law, appreciating the law, understanding the law. Recognition, appreciation, understanding will naturally result in what is the most important aspect of law? Law nu sonna, what is the important part? வெங்கட் யாரையும் அன்மியூட் பண்ணிடாதீங்க இல்லையா? யாரையும் அன்மியூட் பண்ணாதீங்க. டைப் பண்ணா நான் அதை பார்க்கணும் வேற. டைப் பண்ணுங்க, இட்ஸ் ஓகே. What is the important facet of the law? Follow. Vijay, correct. Obey. Obedience. Obedience. Following it. Obey the law. And this obedience is out of an inspiration, understanding, motivation. Blissful is that obedience. Blissful is that obedience. Blissful is that obedience to the law. It's not that obeying the law is a frustrating experience here. It's not frustration. It's not irritation. It's not all that. It's a obedience. It's a obedience that you are so blissful, so inspired, so motivated. And then there simultaneously there is a probe. What is all this? Who is this? What is that? One sees the play of divinity in this immaculate disposition. One sees the play of divinity in this immaculate disposition. Are you able to see the difference? This is what evidence of unknown is. This is what is evidence of unknown. What is the evidence here? There is a phenomenal display of infinite expressions of an unknown hand. That unknown, unseen controller should provide a scientific inquirer with sufficient assurance to probe, investigate, and find out what could that be. That is the probe. What could that be? What could that be? How wonderful it should be. How meaningful that should be. How great and extraordinary that should be. Then when he concludes and says, you are that, oh my God. What the? Are you able to see? Takes you to the climax, and then you are searching all over. What is that? What is that? What is that? Yeah, complete turn. And turns and says, yeah, yeah. Your hair should stand on. Yeah, my hair is standing on, and that's a different. Maybe AC level no tell. My hair is standing. What is that? The unknown, unseen controller should provide a scientific inquirer with sufficient assurance. How great that would be. How wonderful that would be. What is it? A person enters into the probe with sufficient material from macrocosm. Now we will see the sufficient material from microcosm. One second. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Probe is because in the contemplation I don't know, very appeal now. The probe is because of contemplation, scientific variables.
Yes, I said the probe into the clarification is the probe into God comes when you have mastered the scientific inquiry and penetrated deeper. You have mastered the scientific inquiry and penetrated deeper, which is what is called as the age of contemplation. The age of contemplation it is. Where you have mastered scientific inquiry. What is mastering scientific inquiry means? It is what I said just now. Recognizing the law, appreciating the law, and implicit obedience to the law. That is scientific inquiry. The child will climb the tree and it will want to jump, no? Because the child thinks it can fly. It jumps. Would you do that? You will climb down. Why? You obey the law of gravity. You know what will happen. If you jump, you know what will happen. Are you able to follow? Are you pained by that? Are you irritated by that? Are you frustrated by that? You know that your well-being lies in obedience. Your well-being lies in obedience. Are you able to see? By you not obeying, your well-being is what is at stake. So, scientific inquiry is this level. And then the scientific inquiry opens up another avenue. What is that avenue? Ascharya, and that Ascharya drives the probe. Are you able to connect now? Are you all able to connect? Obedience of the law, when we say you obey the law, the obedience of the law is nothing but your well-being. Not only your well-being, the well-being of everybody. Somebody asked him yesterday about the pandemic. Somebody asked him about the pandemic. You are not concerned about the well-being of others. What else would happen? What do you think would happen when you are not concerned about the well-being of others? Others means other species. You go on harming for your entertainment. It's not the hunger or survival is driving that, just entertainment, just the taste. Are you able to follow? Now, when you do that, what will happen? COVID-19 will come, COVID-25 will come, COVID-35 will come. Cyclically, it will keep coming again. It's not a curse. It's not a curse. It is a statement of fact. What is a statement of fact? If you don't obey the law, and climb down carefully, your bones will be broken. That's a curse. Would you call it as a curse? Why are you cursing? Would you call it as a curse? One child came here, 5-year-old child came here. Our dear Raj's daughter came here. She came to the balcony and she said, "Can I jump from here and go down?" What? From the 10th floor to the ground floor? 5-year-old child. I told her, "Never you are coming to my house again," I said. Never you. Supposing I stand in the balcony and I also think, how nice, maybe with God's help I can fly, or maybe I can land safely like Prahlada landed. You know that story, no? Prahlada was pushed from the mountain top by his father and he landed as though he landed on a bed, on a mattress. Nothing happened. Maybe I'm the cousin of Prahlada. Yeah, I can also jump. What will happen? Subramaniam, now, COVID, we can't even come and visit you. Yeah, we can't even come and visit you. And if you jump from the mountain, yeah, we have to carry you back in a bag. Yeah. Obedience to the law is collective welfare, collective well-being. This is scientific inquiry. Up to this, you understand. You become disciplined in life. You become disciplined, you become unselfish, blah, blah, blah. All that happens. But then what happens? You don't stop there. You don't stop there. That discipline, that way of life opens up something higher. What is that higher? You see the splash of divinity everywhere, and the probe starts wanting to know
What is that divinity?
what is that divinity. Are you able to see the connection? It just doesn't stop there. It just doesn't stop with a
Superficial question.
a well-being of life, and you don't stop there. It opens up something deeper. What is that? The universe you see the universe as a phenomenal display of infinite expressions of an unknown and phenomenal display of the infinite expressions. This is how the probe, this is how you mature into this probe. This is how you mature into this probe. சரியா?
Scientific என்கொயரிலேயே நம்ம ப்ரோப்ங்கிற வார்த்தையை யூஸ் பண்ணுவோமா? ஐ எம் ப்ரோபிங் அப்படின்னு சயின்டிபிக் என்கொயரி நடக்கும்போதே சொல்லுவோமா? இல்ல அந்த சயின்டிபிக் என்கொயரியில வந்து சில ஓப்பனிங் கொடுத்துட்டு அப்புறமா அது கான்டெம்ப்ளேட்டிவ் ஸ்டேஜ்ல போகும்போது தான் ப்ரோப்னு சொல்லுவோமா?
Question is, where do we use the word probe? We use the word probe in the age of superstition itself. We use the word probe. Superstition itself is a probe, correlating cause and effect wrongly. But the probe has started. So where does the probe start? Probe doesn't start from scientific inquiry. Probe starts at the level of superstition itself. Are you able to see? When do you start probing? When does the human intellect starts probing? Probing becomes methodic in age of scientific inquiry. But probe starts before that. Where? Age of superstition, probe has started. Correlating cause and effect wrongly. But probe has started. Are you able to follow? The probe has started there. But only thing is, it's not. The probe has started. It's like the child has started to learn to walk. We give a walker, we give a few things and make the child walk proper. But when did the walk start? Not after it's walking erectly. The probe starts. When does the probe start? The probe starts in the age of superstition itself. Age of superstition is wrong. Scientific inquiry is at the worldly level, there is a reasoning and understanding. Contemplation is taking the probe, transcending the world. But all are probe. All are probe. You can't say probe starts only in scientific inquiry. Probe starts. When did the probe start? Probe started at the superstitious level, it started. Now, we will see the evidence of the unknown in microcosm.
Microcosm. Likewise, one notices a similar phenomenon at the microcosmic level as well. A scrutiny of the human body would reveal that the respiratory system functions meticulously all through one's lifespan. So does the alimentary canal function. Thus, the internal organs coordinate and display an extraordinary sense of responsibility. While the sense organs carry out their respective functions with such precision that the human intellect is unable to conceive. These fabulous programs designed in the body seem to be the play of some unseen power that should stimulate one to explore the reality behind it all. At the microcosmic level again, there is further assurance to support spiritual seekers in the quest of divinity beyond the material world. The ancient Indian sages have expounded the concept of Godhead, the Supreme Self, which vitalizes the material equipments into living beings. Thus, they came out with the equation self plus body, mind, intellect equals human being. The supremacy of the self as the transcendental power in living beings is not based on groundless belief. Your life's experiences provide ample reason to substantiate your belief in the supernatural and help pursue your quest for the reality. You refer to your equipments as my body, my mind, and my intellect. The use of the possessive pronoun my indicates that there are two factors, the possessor and the possessed. The possessor is you, and the possessed, the body, mind, and intellect. The equipments are therefore your possessions. They belong to you. If this be so, then who are you? Take away the body, mind, and intellect from your personality, there seems nothing left. Yet you feel a subject integrating them and claiming these objects as its possessions. That unknown subject has been designated as Atman, the self within. Furthermore, observe the functioning of your equipments. You notice your physical body constantly changing. So do you find your mind vacillating with a variety of emotion and feeling, and your intellect growing, at times deteriorating, in effect changing. You recognize these changes taking place in your personality. Such recognition is not possible without there being a changeless entity. It is a law of science that a change is noticeable only with reference to a changeless factor, just as the movement of a train is noticeable only with reference to the immovable objects outside, whereas the movement of an aircraft is not noticeable as there is nothing in a cloudless sky to relate to. Therefore, the recognition of the changes in the equipments and their functions posits the existence of an unchanging aspect in you. That unchanging being is the self. Yet another corroboratory evidence of an eternal being is the persistent usage of the I in everyone's life. You use the pronoun I liberally without realizing its existence, its significance. The I runs through your entire lifespan. You claim, I am a boy or girl. I am young or old. You also say, I am rich or poor. I am happy or unhappy. I am brilliant or dull. The same I runs through the equipments and their experiences. I perceive sense objects. I feel emotions. I conceive thoughts. Furthermore, the I traverses all three realms of the waking, dream, and deep sleep. In the waking state, you could claim, I am a monarch. In the dream state, I am a pauper. And in the deep sleep, I am nothing. These experiences are diverse, heterogeneous, but there seems a homogeneous entity holding them together. The I pervading the three states of consciousness, percolating every physical, emotional, and intellectual experience. That should provide enough evidence for any rational human being to investigate its presence and purpose in life.
Now, he's talking about the corroboratory evidence in relation to the microcosm. First, we spoke about the macrocosm. Now we are talking about the microcosm. The formula is same. You got the conviction of the divine by observing the macrocosm. What about you then? So you do the same observation at your own self now. Now you saw the macrocosm objectively. Now you see yourself. It's not that you see the divinity everywhere and you look at yourself and say, I am useless, I am waste, I am a bundle of this. You don't say all that when you look at yourself. I'm useless, while others are all doing good. I am the one who is not. You don't do all that when you look at your own self. So when you objectively, impartially look at the world, what do you see is the same thing that you will see when you impartially look at your own self. Now, impartially look at yourself, like how you impartially looked at the world. Now we are going to look at impartially at ourselves. And when you look at your own self impartially, what do you see? First, at the level of the body. First is at the level of the body. You started doing yoga. Sometimes you do that Sarvangasana, the neck stand. Second day, third day, I swallowed saliva. I came out, I was thinking, naturally, அது வெள்ளதான வந்திருக்கணும். How did it go? Because you are standing upside down. You are standing upside down and you swallow it just. It didn't come out of the ears, it didn't come out of the nose, it didn't come out of the eyes. It just, divinity. How it is designed in the body. When you go in the roller cast, they tumble this, that, and all that. And the heart is exactly in the same position, not even moving millimeter this side, millimeter that side. What a precision. with what precision it is maintained. Yeah. Imagine, okay, you can only see, even the instruments have this. You know that now, what they call as the limits of the human body. You know the limits of the machine. The limits of the human body. They say it's stretched and stretched and stretched. Hmm? Who that should stimulate one? You know that you didn't order it. You know that you didn't order it. You know that you didn't ask for it. It's there. You didn't order this. At least you know what you ordered. A car you ordered, the house you ordered, the phone you ordered, but your body? Look at it. You get the idea of the divine. These fabulous programs designed in the body seem to be the play of some unseen power. Some unseen power is there, which the human intellect is not able to, conceive. It's not able to conceive. That is at the level of the body. And then you go deeper. The very consciousness, the very awareness that is enough to probe. The very fact of consciousness is enough. Self plus body, mind, and intellect equals human being. Consciousness. Mahavakya starts. We will be seeing all that in this book. Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is God. You see all that. But then you are aware of it, and it brings about an wonderment at the same time, the probe, wanting to know. Self plus body, mind, and intellect. Who are you? Spirit plus matter. Every time you hear this formula, something should happen. What? Spirit. Matter is so beautiful. Everything is, all that is enlivened by something beyond human conception. Again, I am repeating. All this will be interesting only when you are not preoccupied with your everyday affair. If you are so preoccupied with that, you will think, okay, sir, இதெல்லாம் சொன்னீங்க, but what is the takeaway from today's class? இதெல்லாம் right, sir. இதெல்லாம் okay. Fine, all that is fine. But what is the practical life? What is the takeaway? அது என்ன takeaway, we don't know. Just the formula, human being equals spirit plus matter. That spirit is called self, matter is called body, mind, intellect. That itself is enough to keep you into that probe. Wonderment followed by probe. It's not that you are into wonderment and fall off to sleep. Then that's not wonderment. I also went into wonderment, sir, and then I go back and start reading newspaper. No, that is not wonderment. Yeah. Sir, poor sir, 5 நிமிஷத்துல wonderment முடிஞ்சிடும். Because we already hit 8:55. In 5 minutes, the wonderment will get over, and then go back to our worries and anxieties. Yeah. That is not wonderment. The wonderment that leads on to the probe. The wonderment that makes you sleepless. That wonderment that makes you sleepless. Wonderment that will not sing a lullaby. The wonderment that will not make you complacent. The wonderment that will make you sleepless. அதுதான் முமுட்சத்துவம் பேர். That wonderment that makes you, keeps you in the sleepless state is called mumukshotva. It's not a state of suffering. It's not a state of pain and anguish. அது கிடையாது. That Australia. Your life's experiences provide ample reason to substantiate. What is that? The use of my and use of I. அது போரும் he says. That is enough. The use of my and the use of I. I and mine. That's all. I and mine. What else you need to probe about divine? What else you need to probe about the divine? Just the I and mine. Something in you is claiming everything as mine, mine, mine. ஏதோ ஒண்ணு. What is that something in me that is claiming everything as mine? அது நான் தான் சார். Something in me, something is claiming everything as mine, 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 mine. What is that? அதான் நான். I. Who's that I? Who's that I? Probe. Fantastic. Are you able to follow? That is the probe. Persistent usage of I. That persistent usage of I. What is that I? I say I say mine. What is that? Enough evidence to probe. Enough evidence to probe. You know that you are going to die. All men are mortal. We know that. And yet there is something so deep in everybody about immortality. What is that? Where did it come from? That is the probe. Are you able to follow? All men are mortal. We know that. And yet, where is that? Where is that immortality coming from? Where is that sense of immortality coming from? We all know that there are so many bondages. And yet, where is that? Where is that idea of freedom coming from? Where is that idea of freedom coming from? Probe. That is the probe. At the level of the, that is the probe at the level of the microcosm. Why you constantly seek freedom? Because you are free originally. That's why you seek it. So you are seeking your own things. Why you don't believe in death at all, even though you have seen death everywhere? Even though you have seen death all around, even though you also know that you are going to die, but deep in you says, something in you says, no, I am not dying. Oh, I am not going to, right? Deathlessness. What is that? Because originally you are immortal. Originally you are immortal. You are that originally. That drives the truth. Enough evidences from the macrocosm and the microcosm to that substantiates the probe, that makes the probe meaningful, that makes the probe reasonable. And the wonderment order will stop today. Yeah, இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் போனா we'll simply get emotional for nothing. அவ்வளவுதான். Just get emotional for nothing. We'll stop with this wonderment. Macrocosm and microcosm has provided us enough reasonable evidences to justify the probe. That is the topic. Evidence of known. Evidence of unknown. A beautiful topic. Evidence of unknown. Macrocosm and microcosm. With this, we conclude for today. Do you have anything?
Yes, Mala has posted a question.
Mala has posted. Question. What makes people not accept their shortcomings? What makes them not listen to the good advice? From whom? Good advice. From whom? Adu mukyam.
From Guruji, Swamiji, from the scriptures, whatever.
அதெல்லாம் புரியலையே புரிஞ்சாதானே புரியணும் அது. Are you able to follow?
What makes them not understand?
They should make an effort to understand. Why are they not able? Because they don't make an effort to understand. They are not able to listen because they are not understanding. Why are they not understanding? Because they are not making an effort. It's exactly like child ஸ்கூலுக்கு போயிட்டு வந்தாலே அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிடுறோமா? It has to make an effort. So people are not able to understand because they don't make an effort. What makes people not accept their shortcomings? What make people not accept their shortcomings? They don't see it as shortcomings in the first place. If they understand it as shortcomings, they will want to get away from it. It's like saying, what make people not get rid of dirt? Why are people holding on to dirt? What makes people not get rid of dirt? Because they don't see it as dirt. The one who see it as dirt has to blow their lungs out again and again and again till they understand. Somebody who sees the dirt and somebody who sees holding on to the dirt, the one who sees it has to keep elaborating, keep explaining till they understand. To do that, you need infinite compassion. You need endless reservoir of energy and endless compassion. Then only you can do it. Otherwise, you will give up halfway through. You will be fatigued, you will be tired. Are you able to follow? Therefore, what makes people not accept their shortcomings? They just don't see it. The one who sees it will go on explaining to them till that's what the Shastras do. They repeatedly keep elaborating, explaining, elaborating, explaining. Is it okay, Mala?
What makes them, I'm trying to understand, if there is a deepa, if the cloud, covers that deepa, we don't see the brightness. So like that, what covers our, such a lack of understanding?
Ragadvesha. That's the covering. Ragadvesha is the covering. What covers? What is it that is delusive? What is it that is deluding us? What is it that is covering that I am not able to see it? Ragadvesha. And explain what Ragadvesha is and what that lifestyle is. The first 10 rupees gave you happiness. Now what has happened? Now you want to make it to 100. And the 100 must go into 1000. The 1,000 must go into a million. The million must go into a billion. And it doesn't end at all. The chase keeps on. The chase goes on and on and on. So, what is it that is covering Ragadvesha? That's why in Atma Bodha and in the other books, we study about Ragadvesha a lot. In Thesis on God, we will not talk about it a lot so much because the assumption when we are reading this book is assumption. I started the thesis on God by saying it is assumed that we are all Upanishadic students now, temporarily. It is assumed. In that assumption, we read this. And yet, that's why wherever it is necessary, I keep connecting it. Even though in these two paragraphs, macrocosm and microcosm, Ragadvesha, wonderment, all this wasn't mentioned at all. I brought it in all. I brought it to explain it. Is it okay, Ma? Mala, are you able to understand? Yeah. Another.
Swamiji, I have an observation. It
Yes.
is not a question. I just thought a human being, you said spirit plus matter.
Yeah.
If alone, if we have this
Yes.
truth,
Yes.
this moment, and every moment of my life, then it's complete. The learning is complete, and my probe is complete.
Yes.
So as simple as that, but
Yes.
it still eludes us because the faith is lacking,
Yes.
or
Correct.
it is the knowledge is not completed.
Not
So
complete.
simple, but still far away.
Because Shraddha, you use the right word, faith. Use the right word, Shraddha.
Shraddha is not there.
Shraddha, use the right. I'm assuming I'm not putting words into your mouth. When you said the faith, I assume that you said what you meant is Shraddha. Shraddha. Adu varnam. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. Chapter 4, we saw that. Anshu. Question from yesterday Q&A with Swamiji. Okay. He mentioned that there is no relation between intellect and self-effort. Please elaborate. Now, there are two things in a human being. One is the intellect. Another is the self-effort. I will try to elaborate it very short, but I would like you to bring up this question again because it requires an elaborate explanation. But to answer it briefly, remember this, Anshu, and ask this when we are doing the law of karma. Because there we are going to see this. In the Vedanta treatise portion, law of karma, we'll be seeing the self-effort and intellect. Now, to answer your question, there is no relation between intellect and self-effort. That's what Swamiji said yesterday. Elaborate on this. Self-effort is a neutral entity, which is that which brings about the evolution or devolution. Self-effort is a neutral entity. Per se, it is neither evolutionary nor devolutionary. Per se, if it is evolutionary, means the force is decided already. Per se, if it is devolutionary, means the direction is decided already. Now, self-effort per se is a neutral force. A neutral force. Just as in the chemical reaction, there is the third entity called hydrogen and oxygen combines to form a molecule of water. Wherever you can't combine hydrogen and oxygen, wherever hydrogen and oxygen is combined, it will not produce a molecule of water. The hydrogen and oxygen must combine in the medium of
Catalyst.
B. What do you call that electricity as?
Catalyst.
A catalyst. Catalyst. யார் அது பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல பேசினே இருக்கிறாங்க. ஓ கணேஷ் விட்டுருங்க அவர் கரெக்ட். அவரெல்லாம் மியூட் பண்ணிடாதீங்க இல்லையா? அப்புறம் அவ்வளவுதான். Catalyst. It is a so self-effort is a catalyst. Catalyst means evolution, devolution. It can be. It's there. What is intellect? What is intellect? Intellect is that which probes. Intellect has a specific function, a specific role. Intellect is a self-effort is a catalyst. Are you able to see the difference? Intellect has a specific function. It has a specific role. What is the role of the intellect? To think, to probe, to guide the mind and senses. All that is a specific function of the intellect. Self-effort is a catalyst. So in that way, you can never combine both because both are independent entities. That's what he meant yesterday. This is quickly to answer, but I know this wouldn't satisfy. I tried to keep it simple. I know it wouldn't really satisfy you, and I won't blame you also. It needs a detailed elaboration, which I would elaborate. And we are definitely going to do that portion. No? Very soon we are coming into this law of Karma and Vedanta. It is part C. And you need not wait till then also. If it still bothers you, bring it up in the Wednesday one. We will do it again. Okay, Anshu? Yeah. Venkat, over.
Yashasvi has posted a question.
What is her problem now? From where you get passion and enthusiasm to keep teaching, whether it provides a change in your listeners or not? Definitely, I don't have patience or enthusiasm. Huh? Great masters have it. Out of sheer love. Out of sheer love. From where you get patience and enthusiasm to keep teaching, whether it provides a change in your listeners or not. Sheer love, that's all. What else? Just sheer love. Just as the mother puts up. You can't say the mother puts up. You know, we were all children once, no? The mother will take me and keep me on her lap. And what I do? Invariably. What the child does invariably. அதுக்குதான் இப்ப பேடெல்லாம் போட்டாங்க இல்லையா? What they do invariably, what the child does, wet the mother, soil the mother. She cleans it. She doesn't curse. She is not irritated. She is not frustrated. She does all that, cleans it up. Affection, love. Are you able to follow? It is just affection. It is just love. It is just affection. That's all. Not wanting anything in return. These great men are having endless enthusiasm because patience is out of love. Enthusiasm because they don't want anything in return. Not wanting anything in return and love provides you that enthusiasm and patience. Is it okay, Shu? Yeah. With this, we conclude for today and we continue with the next chapter. Beautiful topic. Ya pashyati sa pashyati. He who sees. We'll continue.